Hi, greetings from sunny Central Florida. Let's get into crafting.
Hey neighbors, it's Sharon from Grace's Neighbor Sharon, and it's time for the 5 under $5 playlist for spring. We're doing spring and Easter tiered tray decor, and I will tell you a little bit more about it later on in the video. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Okay, project number 1 and 2 have very similar assembly, so I'm going to do them one right after the other, and sometimes together. So I called them prop-ups because I didn't really know what else to call them. So this is a bathroom tile, and I took it outside and spray painted white. Because they were purple before, and I thought it'd be pretty hard to, brush paint and get rid of the purple. And that's really all I was looking for. You're not actually going to see it, but I like using calendar images. And even though this is a very small tile, I kind of wanted a calendar image on it. So I was, looking through and I saw this little bumblebee. And although this video is mostly about flowers and butterflies, this bumblebee just really wanted to be in it. So I granted him pleasure. So easy to do. You're just going to trace around, or I just traced around the square of the tile. And there's Mod Podge on it already. After I brought it in from spray painting, I Mod Podged both the tiles. And then I let them sit and dry. Now I take an extra piece of parchment paper and I get out my Hippo heat press here. It warms up in about 30 seconds, and I'm just going to rub the image over the parchment paper. And I kind of don't put anything on there perfect, especially when I'm using Mod Podge like this, because I love the look of using sandpaper after, because it sort of pushes the paper down and releases it. So, it fits perfect and looks like it was meant to be. I sometimes will go back over it like I'm doing here. A lot of times it's just to make sure the edges are down. And also it doesn't hurt to go over it a few times and make sure there's no bubbles or bumps or anything. So normally I don't use a lot of Mod Podge to finish things because I don't really like a super glossy look. But I felt like this needed it, just the kind of paper that it is. The paper's kind of shiny to begin with, so I didn't feel like I was, ruining a certain look by putting the Mod Podge on top. And this is some old glossy Mod Podge. I swear, I've had it for years. It actually came from some of the original supplies I got from Grace. So that's going back more than 3 years. For whatever reason, I decided the bee needed some sparkles because I've made a bee picture wall hanging before, and I put sparkles on it. So it got a little bit of gold there in the middle, some green around it, and I have a bunch of pictures of it in the final reveal. Now, prop up number 2. And again, this was spray painted outside in white. It looks almost exactly the same as the first one, except this one kind of had some bumps on it. Because when I spray painted it, it was kind of windy and, pieces of dirt and grass ended up on it. So I sanded it a little bit before I Mod Podged it. And then I let it dry like that. Now this is a napkin that's been stashed away for a couple of years as well. The bottom layer just came off like you were turning the page of a book. And then the middle layer took a little bit of trying. I just kind of moisten my fingers and start in one of the corners. And I was always able to get it started without doing too much damage. And I got 4 images on this napkin of the exact same thing. So I'm really going to enjoy adding it to a couple more spring projects this year. I'm holding on to it as I'm doing the Hippo heat press and parchment paper because for some reason I attached the back to it already. It's just a couple of wooden triangles instead of Jenga blocks, and you just sort of situate it so it's not quite flush with the bottom, so it doesn't stand over or tip over a little bit. It leans back ever so slightly. And again, I don't cut it or anything. I'm just going to iron it on there and then do the sanding by like little packages of sandpaper. It's big size sandpaper, and then I just like tear it into like little quarters and halves of quarters. And again, just gently rubbing off the edges. And a perfect fit. See, that back on there was a little bit too straight, so I was trying to apply some pressure. But again, I'm putting in just the smallest amount of Mod Podge on the back here, and I'm using foam piece to do it because this is a napkin and we want to be a little bit more delicate. So I just put like the smallest little bit of Mod Podge on there and then gently rub it. Lots of pics of both of these during the final reveal.
Hi, it's Sharon from Grace's neighbor Sharon. I hope you enjoy the video.
Enjoying so far, I should say. So the 5 under $5 playlist happens every month on the 5th. Our host is Emily from Farm Charm Chic, and then every month we have a guest host. And our guest host for this month of March is Amy from the Singing Crafty Crafter. She's a hoot. You really ought to check her out. For now, I'll have their channel links and then also a link to the playlist in my description box below. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video. And this project only uses that plastic jar on the left there. I actually took them all outside and spray painted them white like the prop-ups, but the small clay pot broke on the way in and the other jar was just too tall. So we're doing just that little plastic jar. It was a Halloween jar. I'm not sure what makes it Halloween, but let's get things ready here. I have these condiment dishes that I put my paint in. I was showing you there how I want to say blobby because the paint is really thick, but it's not gritty. It's actually really nice and soft still, and it very easily glides over the spray paint on this little plastic jar here. If I had to do it again, I would put more green on the part of the jar where the lid goes down. I'm not putting the lid back on it, so I should have just put more green there because the white kind of stood out even after wrapping it with some twine. I'd like to set everything out. I was out and so stopped in at Walmart to get that Gorilla Glue hot glue you see there. It says it works on plastic and glass and all that, so we'll see how it goes. So at first I started wrapping the top by holding the jar and wrapping the twine, but that was pretty awkward, and I found the best way to do it was actually just hold the twine and turn the jar, like twist the jar as I'm going. And just a little bit of hot glue every once in a while. And that was mostly to cover up the white, but also because I like the look of twine on the top of a jar like that. So even though we're going spring and colorful, we're adding a wee bit of rustic in there. So I guess I did not show, oh gosh, man. I didn't show doing the polka dots. I just used a foam dabber. And so as I'm putting this together, I'm like, you know, I got a thriller, I got a spiller, but it's thriller, spiller, filler. I don't have any filler with my butterfly flowers. So I cut up some raffia for the filler, and then I have the spiller and the thriller. Yes, I got it right. Okay, so a lot of this video, all of these videos were kind of like me arranging things. So I decided the big yellow polka dots kind of looked weird. So I went back in with a pencil using the eraser end to put some smaller polka dots. And then I took a really small paintbrush and added some green polka dots inside the yellow polka dots. I was going for whimsical, and I hope you like it. More pictures in the final reveal. Okay, project number 4 is a peat pot mini flower stand. So it's just as well the clay pot broke because I was challenged to do something a little bit different on the spur of the moment. So I decided to use the peat pot upside down and make it like a stand. And the cool thing about peat pots is they're very easy to poke things into. They're very soft. I painted this one green. I don't think I got that on camera. But another good thing about peat pots, after you paint them, they're a little moist. So they're that much easier to poke things into. You just got to be careful you don't leave an indentation. Sometimes you have to like pop that out from the inside. So I just kind of played around with this peat pot, did my thrillers, spillers, and fillers. And if I didn't mention before, all these butterflies I'm using come from Temu. I did a Temu butterfly haul a while ago and had different shapes, sizes, and butterflies for different uses. And these are on they're really good quality. They're on a stick. They got a spring, and they look just wonderful in this project. And better look at the final review. Okay, 5th and final project is a butterfly on a fence. And I haven't been saying so, but these are all small enough for tier tray decor. This is what the video is, tier tray decor. And the theme is kind of like butterflies and flowers. Now, this white easel I thought was a canvas, but it's actually like a dry erase. And I didn't want to paint that, you know, like, I don't know, sometimes we reuse stuff, or sometimes stuff just doesn't look good painted, and I didn't think the dry erase white would look good painted. So I took this peel and stick wallpaper and I put it on it instead. Peel and stick wallpaper, I actually got it, I think at Ross. I was doing a faux headboard for one of my daughters. She just had a bed and no real headboard, so I made a faux one with peel and stick wallpaper and baseboards. Anyways, I just traced around it and then worked on getting it as straight as possible. I'm always challenged in that respect. So I did mess around with it, and again, using my sandpaper to do the edges. There are very few things sandpaper did. The only thing I found sandpaper didn't work on is I had like a shelf liner and it was stretchy. So when I tried sanding it, it just like pulled on it. Like it didn't sand it off like I wanted it to. Anyways, this is one of those hang up fences. And while I was planning this project for this video, I just saw this fence and I thought, oh, butterfly on a fence. I like walking in the backyard and seeing what's perched on the fence. Usually it's like little birds and bugs and stuff. But occasionally we get a butterfly, and so that's what I was thinking of when I did this. The paint I'm using is the DIY paint. I got it from Sammy at Unicorn Dust Designs. It's a very interesting paint. You really do need to seal it if you're going to do anything else with it. I'm just giving a little bit of color to the wood, so I wasn't super concerned with like painting over it or sealing it or finishing it or anything like that. I just wanted a little bit of color. And white picket fence, although I believe it's called tarnished pearl, which technically isn't white, but close enough. Not sure why I'm showing you so much of the painting, but I am. And actually, at the very final, I realized that one of the slats doesn't have paint on the bottom. But I had already put away everything. So I'm ready to do the butterfly part, but I decided I wanted a little bit of rustic on this fence. I felt like the pickets were being washed out. You couldn't really see them. So a little bit of rustic will help with that. I just grabbed a chalk paint that had some kind of brown in it. Normally I would use like burnt umber, raw umber. Burnt umber is my favorite, but I'm totally out. So you just gotta wiggle that big stake back and forth. It's easy enough to get out. You do have to wiggle it for a little bit. And then after that, there's two little wires holding the purple part of the butterfly, and so it kept moving around on top of the metal part. So it was kind of messing me up here. I wanted to glue it, but every time I moved it, the wires were moving, and then the purple part was like popping up. So it was a bit of a challenge, but you just got to be patient. I would have liked to put the butterfly on first and then put it on the easel. But I was just thinking, I got to let the glue dry. So I did it the night before that I got the hot glue there. Tell me if that makes sense. Anyways, I got it jammed in there and got it on the tier tray, and more pics in the final review.